a scion of many worlds. Here, Morgana says as she hands Guinevere a cup of tea. The distressed woman was in more than a slight panic over everything that happened, and after the initial confusion and distraction that her son had proven to be, had started to ask many questions and getting even more distressed by his presence. So he had passed the poor woman on to her. The aggrieved woman sniffs at the tea and tastes it before accepting a chemical scanner. One that she tests a few times before going into its deeper files. It's off the shelf. There's nothing hidden. Because a brute arcana knows which ones are actually effective. Madam, Morgana states, biting back the urge to bite back. That's enough of that. What would you even know about what I'm going through? That gigantic Urthani, that's my son, she states. He's been dead for 3 centuries. Then the empty mind clone I used in an experiment to finally let go began to remember, becoming the child I lost. Can my children be? Possibly. The field of thanatology has long been limited to what happens to a cadaver after the loss of function and the many, many things that occur. Now the question of how to reverse it has become viable, Morgana says before sighing. Due to my son, no less, many of the answers I have for you are unvetted, untested, and unknown. Furthermore, I have enormous bias towards positive results. Are you willing to move forward despite knowing this? What are you proposing? We have a cloning-equipped vessel on the way. With that, we can use your surviving sons to potentially bring back the lost ones. But how does that work? This is a very new branch of the field. What documentation we have is very much untested. I should guess that a brute would be truly ignorant. I said enough of that, Dr. Skitterway says sternly. You are on my ship, being attended to by my students. I have no idea about your past, but you are a woman of the galaxy. You should know better. My sons have been slaughtered by some thing and you're lecturing me on manners? I've helped save your life and the lives of your surviving children, and you're making constant passes at my species? Morgana returns in a tart tone. I have the accreditation to help you through this trying time, however, I will not be bullied. What? You're still trying to process a great deal and lashing out, even if you don't understand why. It's a normal reaction, but not a healthy one. This is all wrong. This is not what was supposed to happen. What was supposed to happen? A fresh chance, a new start. After the raging cunts who ran that disgusting organization were all in chains, I was supposed to get another shot at being a mother. This time with 300 young men instead of just one lost son. But no, something has to hit the ship in the middle of the night, and after I get into the stasis pod, I wake up in a nightmare. I'm sorry. And the biggest comfort after it is a dead ringer for the lying piece of, so that's where the aggression is from. It's worse. She had a similar name and looked fairly close to how you do. Same coloration and, to be frank, I don't know anywhere near enough about brute arcana to tell you apart without the bigger details. All right, a moment please, Morgana states as she activates her communicator. Giselle, if you would be so kind to do some research for me. Roughly 1,000 years ago, a brute arcana of similar profile to myself was caught up in a cloning scandal, likely as an enforcer. Could you do a bit of digging into that? All right, that's fair. I was mostly just waiting around to get my hands on the Nest data cores, or whatever was left of them. Giselle answers. Thank you, young lady, Dr. Skitterway states, and the call ends. Now, would you like a summation of what's happened to Lacrin since the crash of the Nest? Please, Guinevere states. First off, until your sons were discovered, it was assumed that all men died in the crash. Therefore, an emergency method of impregnation had to be discovered. It's effectively a crude cloning technique that causes a woman's egg to start multiplying on its own. But that would have terrible side effects after just a few generations. As I said, it was an emergency measure, one they were forced to use far too long, causing an enormous brain drain and huge health problems the world over. Oh goddess! It's not irreversible, but the damage is immense. Only the Nagasha on the planet have endured this with any real grace, Dr. Skitterway states. Thankfully, the actions of my son have more or less pacified the most belligerent factions on the planet to allow us to actually help these people. What did he do? He more or less conquered it, militarily, politically, or morally. Every major nation or power either includes him or a close ally of his as a high-ranking member, owes him some manner of favor, or has been outright shattered. Not what I expected from a doctor's son. Oh, there are a lot of finer details I'm skipping for the sake of brevity, Dr. Skitterway states. Long story short, less long, Lakran is an Iron Age society that's now in the process of being uplifted once more. They have no cultural touchstone for males beyond the absolutely absurd example my son and his peers have given them, which is more akin to the sort of thing a primitive people worship as gods rather than normal people. Considering that he's a primal Earthani, somehow, I don't think it's a bad assumption. And the fact he's the pioneer of the fields of resurrection in thanatology would support that thesis. However, he's most uncomfortable with the label. Can he really bring back have things changed so much since I went into stasis that death itself can be beaten? Possibly. We're just scratching the surface now. I don't know if what's been accomplished so far are unique miracles or if they can be repeated, but I am a scientist. I will find the answer either way. Dr. Skitterway answers, and there's a knocking on the door. Crystal on metal, she knows who it is. Come in, Emmanuel. The door opens and her son crouches down to lean in. We've safely extracted all the stasis pods and are going to start removing the patients inside. The doctors and nurses are on standby to receive them in case of complications, and we just need your go-ahead, Mother. This is your hospital after all. Indeed it is. Miss Bucket, I think you should come with me. You should be there when your sons are awakened, Morgana says, rising. But Guinevere isn't moving. She's just staring at Emmanuel. Can you do it? She asks. I can do many things. Can you narrow that down? Can you bring back the dead? She asks, and he lets out a considering noise as he rubs at his chin. It's complicated. Yes or no? She asks. Both. A resurrection has so many untested variables that it's functionally impossible to give a clear answer. But I will try. I promise you, I will try, he tells her. What have you done? She asks. I've regained my own self from beyond. I've physically touched the souls of others. I have drawn the souls of people who have been spiritually separated from themselves back to restore their free will. I've fought against a madwoman who stole the souls of others and used them as a weapon and shield. I've taken the energies from that direction to permanently alter myself to better fight against it. I've also returned from that realm when I was physically forced into it, beyond even the reach of death and time. Is that all? Guinevere asks in a tone far too stunned to be sarcastic. I had to become a primal to escape. So as a side effect, I've altered every Earthani alive across a galactic scale. Anything more? The biggest part of a resurrection is getting someone's soul back. If I can get their souls into suitable bodies, then that's most of the job done, and we can work from there to fully revive them. There are more details, but none that apply to the situation with your sons. Such as? The difference between dead and here and dead and gone. Your sons are dead and gone, so there's no point waffling about that. If we're going to revive them, then they'll need new bodies to house their souls, so it's not a matter of healing desiccated and destroyed flesh that is being forcibly inhabited by a suffering soul. I've already said too much. Shall we observe the revival of your family, ma'am? Wait, dead and here? What does that even mean? Death can be a release. Banshee can attest to that. Banshee? A Fosa, unable to die but capable of feeling all the pain and deprivation she was stuck in a living nightmare. What? Guinevere demands. Never mind. It's not something to be worried about, he says. Now, can we get going? Are you eager as well? She asks, curiously. There are things to be learned in watching things like this. Emmanuel states, and she's not entirely certain of what to make of that. First out is Krim. His eyes are grayed out with stasis blindness, and he's in a minor panic. Guinevere is already there next to him and stroking his brilliant golden hair. It's uncanny, a new voice says, interrupting her, comforting her sweet son. She turns to glare at the source and pauses. That hood, the glowing markings, the sheer size. That's a primal Nagasha. Right next to the first primal Earthany. What is even going on? Mother, what's happening? Krim asks. Unexpected guests. They're not going to hurt us. You're fine, my son. You're going to be okay. Who are they? Why can't I see? You have a form of stasis sickness. The time-slowing energies of the stasis are sticking around your eyes. It will clear up shortly, Emmanuel says over the intercom. As for who I am, I'm the son and assistant of the director of this hospital. It was Isarizen here that spoke earlier. What? Don't lie. Isarizen? The little primal girl? No way that was her voice. You know me? Isarizen asks in shock. Krim, my child. We've been in stasis a very long time. The little girl you knew has grown up. She's older than you now, Guinevere says in a low voice. What? But damn these eyes, I can't see. It's not fading. Krim groans out. It will hurt, but you can speed it up by drawing Axiom into yourself and circling it through your body. It will clear away the stasis energy, but it will not be pleasant, Emmanuel calls. That's all the warning Guinevere gets before her son suddenly seizes up in pain and clutches at his eyes, even as he draws the Axiom into himself. What have you done? She demands. I've only told him what he needs to know, nothing more, Emmanuel protests. Blessedly, the pain clearly fades quickly and Krim opens his eyes again. I don't know this place. What happened to the pod? Wait, what? Who are you people? They've saved us, Guinevere begins. Another Arcana? Are we going to be sold into slavery? Darling, no. These are not those people, Guinevere assures him. I personally destroyed the last slavers I encountered, shattered their power base and placed them at the mercy of their victims. No slaver will find shelter on Lacron. Of that I assure you, Emmanuel states calmly. I still think the fact you literally ate one of the slave masters was overdone, Isarizen states, and he shrugs. She refused, straight up, to surrender peacefully and attacked me after I offered a final warning. Emmanuel protests. So you don't like slavers? Krim asks in a deadened and very dull tone, as if the sheer madness of whatever is going on is finally weighing him down. Well, maybe if she ate more fruits, she would have been... Emmanuel begins, and Isarizen's rattle bonks him on the top of the head. Hey! That is the crudest, rudest, and weirdest thing you could have said to that poor man. She scolds him, and he chuckles. Perhaps, but take a look. He's too confused to be panicked at this point. Why do you need me to not panic? Krim asks. Why would you want to panic? Is there ever a situation where panicking is a good idea? Emmanuel asks. Oh my goodness, that is not the point, Isarizen states in an exasperated tone, and he leans closer to her and whispers in her ear. Oh, that's what you're doing. You're still being a jerk. Yes, and? He asks. White Flow? Krim asks, getting everyone's attention. Little Siri White Flow? You do remember me, Isarizen exclaims. How long have we been in stasis? Too long. Care to join the rest of Lacron? Emmanuel asks grandly. Krim just stares for a moment before he nods and squares his shoulders. Yes, Yes, I am. Good man.